Okay, it is Wednesday, March 10th, 7:07 p.m. And we're going to call the Economic Development Commission meeting to order. Present are myself, Renee Deli, Sharon Rice, Christine DeVoe, Laura Parker, Mike Massini, Michael Toole, and Denise Luciano of the commission, and then also guests Peter Wiggins, Paul DiGiuseppe, Mike Unitz, and Alyssa Nowak. So welcome, guys, to the meeting. Thank you for your time. I know we have a somewhat packed agenda just because we didn't have a meeting a couple weeks ago. So there are several items here. I'm certainly just in the interest of time for Mike and Paul, if we want to skip item number 1 and come to that later in the meeting, we can, or if we want to go through. I know reorganization has been on here for a while. We can have the conversation and vote members. You guys tell me, do you want to jump it while Mike and Paul are on, or do you want to go ahead and go through the reorg?
I have no issue with that. If I don't want to take up any more of their time than we need to.
Okay.
They're busy enough as it is.
Right. And I know Mike's pulling. Mike, you must be at 3 meetings at least a week at this point, right?
That's right.
Okay. So why don't we, let's go into the business updates and interests. And there are a couple of things on here for updates. Mike, I didn't see anything on the TIF to send out to the group. I don't know if you did send it.
I sent it to you. I do have it to share if you want.
Can you share? What did you title it? Because I was looking before the meeting.
Actually,
earlier.
I was wondering if I did title it, if I scanned it.
Oh,
It might
Okay.
just say scanned.
scanned image from town hall downstairs.
Yeah.
I have about 50 of those. Okay, so I have it up on my other computer. I can send it out if you want to share it though right now.
All right. Can you let me,
Oh, yeah, I have to change these settings. Okay, Mike, you should be able to share it. So, okay, so we're gonna jump to 2B, the TIF, and then we'll go back and just talk about general updates and then the marijuana establishment update.
So we've been talking with a company that wants to build a building in the Blue Star Park. And right now they're just calling it Project Northeast. Until they commit, they don't want to release the name of the company. I did talk to them about time frame, and I said the latest they could meet with you would be the first, I think you meet the first Wednesday of April. And then they'd have to go to the finance committee that following Monday. So they have to start working on the commitment. Just down here, this will give you, so Project Northeast would involve the construction of a new 100,000 square foot distribution center. The investment associated with the project's estimated at 11.4 million, including approximately 10.4 million in rail property construction and approximately 1 million in new equipment and personal property. And where this is a distribution company, we would get personal property taxes on that equipment. The project would allow the company to create approximately 25 to 28 new full-time employee positions and 70 to 80 third-party logistics company positions that would service the distribution center. And their timeline would be to start construction in Q2 or Q3 of 2021 and commence operation in Q2 of 2022. And they are looking at the Blue Star Park. And I did send them a preliminary offer of a TIF for 10 years that would start at 80% and then start progressing down through the years. And I was on the phone with them today, and they didn't say that this was too low. But I'm waiting to hear back from them on a commitment. And Paul, which site are they looking at? Building
Uh,
7, is it?
Building 7, yeah. Or,
Right.
yeah, so it's on the north side of Leonard Street.
And we did meet out there with Condine last week, look at the buildings that are up now. And they do have another tenant that they're pretty confident will be coming into that space that's available there soon.
So Mike, can I ask a question? I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have they already committed to, are they shopping this? They're using a consultant? What's the situation here?
Right, they're using a consultant right now. Ernst & Young is handling this for them. And so they're shopping right now. So that's why I told them they have to, in order to be on the town meeting warrant in May, they need to move quickly because the latest we could do it would be the EDC first week of April, and then Finance Committee. I think it's April 12th is a Monday.
How confident do you feel we could land this, or are we being used like Fisher? What is it? What was the Fisher? What was that?
Grammar Bio.
No, Thermo Fisher. Thermo Fisher.
Yeah. Oh, was that the one that was going on South Washington?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, with that one, their deal fell apart with whoever they were trying to rent that building from. There were two that fell apart in the rental process with that owner. So I don't know whether it had anything to do with our TIF. They do seem confident, but you never know until they make that final commitment.
So are there any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Would I guess, so Michael, you have no knowledge who the prospective business is?
I do know who it is.
Okay, okay, so if you know who it is,
It's a national company.
got it. So then the proposed TIF exemption then is reflective of, you know, it's an offer that's reflective of our willingness to want them to come to Norton.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And Paul, I don't know if you were with myself and Jeff the other day when he did say their construction team had reached out to him, and they were having a meeting with like 40 people from the company. So hopefully that is a good sign that they are moving forward, but we'll see. I just
Mike,
watched.
what's the revenues look like?
That's what I told them. They have to prepare a spreadsheet like everybody else does that gets submitted to us that will show the values and company savings and the incremental tax benefits to the town each year. And so that will have to come before they commit and move forward.
And you said, I thought you heard you say this, there's excise taxes. It looks like they'll have excise taxes of equipment inside.
Excise and personal property.
Okay.
When we have a manufacturing companies are exempt from paying personal property in Massachusetts.
Yep.
So that'll be nice to get that tax on the 1 million in personal property.
And what's the square footage of the building?
100,000.
They can take the whole 100,000.
Yeah, they'll take the whole building.
Wow.
Is there any other interest in this particular spot?
Not that we've heard, no.
How many buildings are left over there to build?
Well, so for phase 1, you still have the 2 retail buildings up front. Of course, one of them might be where exit 10's going. And then on then you have building 7, which is actually the 6th building, which is, you know, they're waiting to see how this works. And then phase 2 across the street on the north side, I believe there are 7 or 8 buildings, so about another 450,000 square feet with phase 2.
Okay. Thank you. So Mike, this looks structured a little differently. I remember last couple that we've seen, we did it, we had them for 13 years, which I think there were some questions about that. But the other thing we had is we had a low tax, if I remember correctly, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but we had a low exemption in year one to show growth, and then it kind of flopped and the exemption went high. Is that correct?
Yeah, that on, that was just Alnylam was structured that way.
Okay, so this is more of the standard.
Right, yeah. And these are, almost every other TIF we've had has had 90, hundreds, 95, 90, but I really didn't want to go that high on a distribution building.
And right now, with the economy, Mike, the way it is, 10 years is we wouldn't go beyond 10, right? That's the repurpose of them not going beyond 10.
Right, I wouldn't want to go beyond 10 with any of these.
Sorry, you may have said this and I missed it. What are they talking? What kind of a, and this is lease, right? Lease space?
I think they would, I don't, yeah, is it a 10-year with two
Yeah.
5-year options, Paul? I don't remember.
I wasn't part of the discussion to see if,
Yeah.
if this is a lease or own.
Yeah, could be.
Okay.
Would that change the TIF based on, I mean, if it's a lease and they only lease, I wouldn't see them leasing for 5 years, but if they only lease for 5 years, right, wouldn't have some impact here?
Yeah, they won't, I know that Condine won't allow anyone just to lease for 5 years. They won't do that. They wouldn't get the financing.
Okay,
And the cleanup of the building would take longer than that for the cost.
Yeah,
right. And Mike, you said 25 to 28 full-time employees, and then there was another set, 70, 80. What is that set of people? Are they third party?
third-party logistics company employees.
Probably delivery drivers.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So Mike, what, are you just giving us a heads up here at this point or just
Yes, yep.
purposeful tonight?
And what I'll do, I'll scan to Renee the other active TIFs we have right now, so you just have a comparison. So you can see that.
Do we have that in Excel too, Mike? Can we look at them? I
We do.
thought I remember seeing one before.
Yep, they're all in Excel.
Okay. Yeah, if you can share that, that'd be great. Because some of them should be, there's at least one or
Very.
two ending in the next couple of years, right?
There are. I'll let you know which one. I'll let you know where we are on each one.
Okay.
Does, one other quick question if I could, does building 7, would that have the potential to be expanded years down the line, or that's sort of capped out from just a footprint perspective?
They probably, with the environmental conditions there, they probably couldn't do much more than that. In fact, that building's approved for 130,000 square feet, but this is a proposal for 100,000. So if this all goes forward, then they would actually be modifying the plan to reduce by 30,000 square feet.
They'll end up on Burt Street if they go any further.
Yeah, it's, they had, when this was approved a couple years ago, they had, this building had to go through some environmental review from the Conservation Commission. So unless they went vertical, but my guess is they probably couldn't beyond 130,000 square feet.
Yeah, Paul, if I'm not mistaken, this goes up against, I'm totally going blank on this, but the Rosewood Estates, this was like, this goes right up to the edge of their property. Well, all those houses.
Yeah.
Up in houses.
And as you expand the building, parking gets enlarged, your stormwater grows. So, it's hard to add more because you end up having to add more things like parking and stormwater to it too. So all of that contributes to it.
Mhm. Okay.
Like, do we typically in the TIFs put anything while they talk about employment? I remember the conversation with, I think it was with Island actually, where they talked about trying to get, like they prioritized people from Norton or the neighboring communities as employees. Is that I didn't see that in here, but is that typically something that we would put in the language?
In the language, when we do the TIF agreement, we definitely would have that in there. It's more or less says within all legal guidelines, every opportunity will be made to hire Norton residents as employees.
Okay, great. Can you scroll back to the first page for a sec?
Sure. And I'm on a different computer, Renee, so my mouse isn't going everywhere.
Is that why you're not having a problem muting and unmuting?
It was
Give
crazy.
him, give him time, Renee. Give him time.
I like how they list in there, we discussed the confidential company's potential.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like this word down here. I never saw that word, sortation.
Sortation. The hell does that mean?
They're gonna have like an ASRS, like a racking system.
I
If
don't
you
know.
guys know what that is, does anybody know what that is?
The racking system?
Yeah. It's like an automated storage and retrieval system. They call it ASRS. I don't know if that's what they still call it, but I'm not gonna date myself, but my early career days, the company I worked for, we had a manufacturing building and we had that. It's ginormous, but it's essentially, right, you have all of your product on pallets and the system just calls, it goes to wherever it needs to go. I imagine like Amazon and other places like that have it on a different scale.
When I Google sortation, that's all it comes up with. Amazon must have coined it because they have a job position as a sortation associate, which is
Ah.
a lot of S's. That's a mouthful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
I hate when people make up words.
Sortation.
well, did you really just say that, Renee?
Yeah, I can't tell you how
We
many
wouldn't have a
times.
dictionary. We'd have 5 words if people didn't make up words.
How many times I have to Google like some sort of an abbreviation that somebody uses, and then it comes up with nonsense. I'm like, what does this mean? And they're like, oh, somebody made that up, and this is what it means. Just gonna make up stuff too.
We'd all be still speaking Queen's English.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for Mike on the TIF? Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. And I'll
Thanks.
write myself a note now. I'll get this document out to everybody after the meeting. So Paul, if we toggle back to business updates, did you want to give an update? There were a couple updates I think that we had since the last meeting, the 40B projects, as well as the grant. And there's something else that is eluding me right now.
Well, we did, the zoning board of appeals did approve the 40B at 195 Mansfield, which is right next to the McDonald's. That has now put us over the 10% threshold. So, that gives us flexibility for any new project 40B proposal that comes in, which would essentially be that any project now that comes in would need to be what we call a friendly 40B, which I tell, I've mentioned to a couple of developers, all it means is give us a good project. We'll certainly, the ZBA would certainly be interested in reviewing a good project, and we certainly want to promote more affordability. So that's in. We are the 40B at 253 Mansfield, right next to Alberto's. I think that's on the path. Probably within the next couple of months, I would think the board will be voting for it. That one, because it came in under 10%, is still viewed as being under 10%. But the board's not really, we've discussed some traffic issues, but the board seems, my impression is we've had our traffic peer reviewer look at things. It's not triggering state threshold. So I would expect that will be adopted in a few months. It'll certainly be going to vote. So that's a positive. And then, so for this grant, I don't know, Christine, were you on that call yesterday? Or any of you on the call?
I tried to get on it, but it kept kicking me out. I was
Oh.
really sad.
Was anyone on? Yeah.
I
um,
just saw your email today on it, so I apologize.
No, that's fine. It was a training, but, so the good news is we're now launching it. Now I'm expecting to hear from our consultant this week is what we've been told. So, that better be so, because the state has said, if you don't hear by Friday, let us know. Because the first step is we're gonna launch a survey. Ultimately, this is about helping the businesses who have been hurt by COVID, and we're looking at along the West Main Street corridor. We still have to determine, what the boundary of that is. But one of the first steps is having this, putting a survey out for those businesses to tell us how they've been hurt. Now, the state has created the survey. It's the same survey in our town and the 150 other towns that they've granted this to. So we just have to, I have to coordinate with the consultant to, figure out how to get to those people. I just finished today, at least getting the addresses of all the businesses in this corridor. We have a handful of emails, but it's probably going to be a flyer that goes out to the businesses. But hopefully one of the outcomes is we start getting emails and phone numbers from people. So very soon, I'll know more after I speak with the consultant to figure out, the game plan. So, but it's going to be quick. I think we have to have a full plan done by end of August. So the consultant will be writing it with our help and with the input of the stakeholders on West Main Street. And, the end goal is these are going to be a series of actions that have to be very quickly implemented, to help businesses get their revenues back up. In fact, along those lines, I met last week with the Valentine brothers at Valentine Tools, just as an example. But we were talking about, I won't give the numbers, but they too have been hurt by COVID. Their sales have not been the same. In some cases, they had orders that came in and then they completed them, but then the company didn't want them shipped until a certain time. So they're holding inventory. So, that's just an example. It was a pretty sizable, or significant number that they, mentioned. And that's why we just need to try to help businesses, because these are real stories and real people being hurt, in the last year. So, once
Paul. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah, I'm done.
I was just going to ask, during that meeting, did they give any examples of the way, what they've seen, ways that we would help some of these businesses?
No, they didn't. I think, we're going to have to just figure that out. I mean, we know there are things that we could do, like help, with outdoor spaces. We can help with marketing. There are things we can do, like, I know a couple businesses that are going to be having a grand opening. I think it would be a great idea. I have to reach out to the owner and go, when you're about to do your grand opening, let us know. Can we help advertise it? Can we have a party there? So there are things. So the consultant they're bringing in, and there's going to be a subject matter expert too. So they'll be giving us some resources to help us figure out the tools that we can, that we should be using as recommended actions to help boost the the business for our in the area.
So Paul, logistically, how would we, would that consultant and SME come to one of our meetings and talk about ways that we would support the program?
So that's a great question, and I don't know the answer, but one of the there was a question that came up yesterday, though. We have to be nimble, basically. The question was about, can a town create a committee to go forward with this? And their response was, as long as it doesn't slow you down, we have to be, so I need to talk to the consultant about that, about presenting to the board. And then how are the commission and how can this commission work, where we can still, go out to sites or whatnot, but, make sure we're not, violating Open Meetings Act, things like that. So, I need to talk to him or her about that. But, this is, the states in the last year, the Commonwealth has been putting out these grants, but one of the caveats is they want the money spent quickly. They want results on the ground quickly, and they've seen some really good results around the state. So, so we just have to see how we will do it. Now, meeting every 2 weeks will be good, but there may be times where we do something outside of this meeting. I would expect we will.
Right. I would too. Otherwise, it'll be next August before it gets done. I mean, I think with everything that we've tried to do, from the review subcommittee to when we were doing the bylaws, like we ramped up on meetings to get certain tasks done. So,
Right.
I think it's just a reprioritization. And then
Yeah,
doing
and this won't be, the way I understand it is this isn't going to be as complicated as what you did with the marijuana bylaw. They've got a template for the plan. The state's providing a lot of templates. So, I think there'll just be a certain amount of buckets for us to choose from ultimately. But, the consultant, worked on some similar projects before, and, you use stakeholders like the EDC, not to work on process, but when, to help answer questions. Here are the things, what should we be doing better? That sort of thing. And then, if we have the resources to help, if we need to do outreach and whatnot, then that might be another use. But again, until I talk with the consultant, figure out what they're bringing. Because I don't know if it's one person or a team at this point.
right.
And
Okay.
I don't know if this consultant, how many other grants they've also been, other communities that were awarded the grants. Many of the consultants, we were told, are working with multiple communities. So, we'll have some resources to kick around. And on
Okay.
top of that, we also have our our master plan, which March 31st. So I think I sent that out to all of you. It'll be Zoom. But this one will focus on transportation and utilities and services. So this is a big meeting. They all are. But I think in terms of economic development, certainly the infrastructure aspect of it, I think it'll be important for this group, for the commission to have its voice heard.
The last meeting went well virtually. It was a nice job.
They did a great job. Yep.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Any other questions of Paul on this? It sounds like there are some unknowns, but
That's okay. We're comfortable with that. We'll
right.
figure them out though.
Paul, I think they sent out it was the LRRP community training webinar, right? They sent, yeah, I got an email about an hour ago saying that they sent out the slideshow for it. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be good to have handy.
Yeah, or if you want to, Christina, one of us can just email the group.
Yeah, I'll forward it along.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I have this tickle cough. Okay, great. Thanks, Paul, for the update. So we'll look for more information from you. If something does, hey, Sandy. Hi there. You just popped up on my screen. I want to know how that worked, Laura.
Magic.
Yeah, exactly. And just write down Sandy joined. Paul, certainly if anything comes through an email to get out to the group, just for
Awesome.
awareness purposes.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful. And then you just let me know if we need an item on the agenda. I imagine that you'll have more information in 2 weeks if they want to fast track this. So
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
can plan for it.
Again, I think that you all have a huge role to play on both of these plans, but I think you have the ability to really spend some good quality time on this plan on West Main Street. I really believe it'll have great possibilities and will really help a lot of people.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you, Paul, for that update. There was another business update, something that came through the board last week. Mike, I'm drawing a blank. All I wrote down was SB update. We approved something last week. What did we approve? You're muted, Mike.
She has to tell me that all the time. Probably the fact that the board is in support of looking at the development of a community parking area behind the Trent Memorial that will help the businesses in that area.
No, that wasn't it, but we can certainly talk about that.
What else do we do? Green communities.
It was something on West Main, and oh my God, why am I drawing a blank?
Renee, was it the used car?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
I know I have to write better notes. Yeah, so the new business that we approved, something Sons. I'm like off tonight. The used car auto dealership.
Yeah, on Old
from,
Colony.
from Aida.
Eve, it's Two Brothers Auto Brokers.
Thank you.
Was the name.
So that's a new business on West Main. The sign is up. Mike, I think, did you get a picture?
Yeah, it was Talia Reed is the individual. She was a Mansfield resident who's opened up, who actually just purchased this business. And she's going to be up over near Old Colony Road, which is over near the Oasis in the car. It's actually near Fisherman's 3, used to be where Fisherman's 3 was, right next to there. And she's already put up a sign, and she's excited. She's doing custom car finding and brokerage. That's pretty much the extent of her business. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack that, Renee.
No, they're not hijacking anything. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Do
Yes.
I understand that that was not a unanimous vote by the select board?
It was not. It was a 4-1 vote. And the one vote's critique of it was not the individual. It was more of her desire to see more of a business plan. And there wasn't a lot of debate on that other than that, but it's
A business plan from
accurately,
the
right?
applicant?
I'm
Or
sorry.
a business plan for the town, or a business plan from this particular
She was,
business?
I believe her hope was that the town was doing a more, I'm putting words in her mouth at this point. But I think I'm accurately describing what her hope was, that the town would do a little more diligence on the business planning of approval of business licenses. And that's what the select board approved, the business license for her to operate in town.
So it was more the process, right? Like there was little discussion, no like insight into what do we want as a town type thing. and like, I remember asking Mike the questions, from a requirements perspective, because it doesn't go anywhere except for the building commissioner, who had been out to inspect the location and make sure that it was in compliance. But this isn't something that, goes through channels where you have multiple eyes on it, and the opportunity for questions or due diligence or even just strategy, right, to determine the impact to the town, or if it's something that the town wants.
Yeah, I one of the things that I didn't get to mention during the select board meeting was one of the things I think all of our desires are to make sure we're setting up business to succeed, but I also don't want to be an obstacle for businesses trying to get licenses in town. I mean, that was one thing that I didn't say, because we just were moving on the vote. But I think it's very, very, for me, it was important that someone has a vision and they in their head, they planned it out and they followed the procedures to get approved for a business. I think it's important that their ideas are supported. It was not trust me, if it was something that I believe could harm the town, I would never ever vote in favor of it. But I felt that I thought the ask of the select board member was a little unfair, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, it doesn't follow, like, the established process does not require any of those things. So I totally agree and would love for us to be in a position to say, look, this is Norton, this is what we have available, these are the businesses that people have asked for. I would like us to be in that position, but we're really not.
No,
right.
we're
So
in
when
no
you come,
position to reject anybody.
right. So when an applicant comes in front of us, right, somebody who we think is going to have some success in the town, I just don't think we have a good process. I mean, I thought about that after the meeting. We've done a lot of things where now the board has asked a review of the EDC, and maybe this is something where we do that. I don't know the impacts. They're following a process that's established through the bylaw, and I don't know how we can intervene to say, well, hey, can you come before the EDC to review it, right? Like, we know that's part of our role in the TIF is to review it, part of our role with the marijuana establishments, because that's how we created it from the beginning, or to review things. Maybe it's something for discussion with us in the select board to say, is there an opportunity for new businesses to come in front of the EDC first, just to have an opportunity to hear from the applicant, understand what their desire is, and, similar to others, right? We've talked about how can we support people through the process. It's not easy. And when you have just somebody who, Mike, I know you could talk to the process more, but it's, it's an application, you get the building commissioner out, fire department goes out, and I don't even know if the police department does to do any sort of inspections, but
Depends on the business.
it seems somewhat non-personal,
Yeah.
I guess. Like,
yeah, I think, Renee,
Mike, you're still muted, by the way.
Renee, personally, I would like to see it the other way around, right? The licensing being approved, but then it's almost contingent with the meeting of the EDC, because then it's little, I don't want to stop business. We're at if I'm not mistaken, Mike and Paul will slap me around if I am, we're about 17.5% businesses to town. I think when you stop putting in and really digging in is when you get to that 35-40% where you're like, all right, we really got to really analyze our businesses in town when we're trying to get to just the 25%. I think that's an important thing here. I just don't want to ever be an obstacle to business in town. Just because it may not be my cup of tea doesn't mean that it's not. Someone's got a dream of opening a business in town, and there might be a whole audience that want to support that business. I think it's important that we make it as easy as possible. But to your point, Renee, I would love to see some engagement with the EDC. I just don't know when. Is it before? Is it after? I guess that's the question.
I found it odd that by the time it comes to us, like, they're already in the building, there's a sign up. What happens if we didn't approve it, right? Seems to me that the process in of itself isn't a great process. But Mike, you want to talk to that process quickly?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when she said her sign was already up. I was thinking, you kind of jumping the gun there. So Yeah, the process is, if someone wants a used car license, they'll file an application with the select board. And then Jennifer will give that to the building commissioner, and he will check and make sure that the property is zoned for it. And then he'll look at their plan on where they plan on putting the cars for sale and where their employees plan on parking, to make sure that there's enough space for the new business and the existing businesses. If they're not incorporated, then we have them get a business certificate from the town clerk's office. And also make sure that they have a repair facility lined up along with the business. I would think with used cars, if we were becoming, like the auto mile, you'd have concerns. We don't have that many used car dealerships in town. And I know in some communities, when they start seeing that happening, they put a cap on how many used car dealerships you can have in town. But right now, we don't have that many.
I'm sorry, did you say repair facility, like auto repair?
Yeah, if someone's selling cars, they have to either have the ability to do repairs themselves. And
They
if
need a bay?
what's that?
Do they need a bay?
If they have that option, or they can have an agreement with an auto repair shop, which this company has an agreement with a auto repair shop to repair any cars.
Interesting.
Mike, is that process only for like used car dealerships and like that line of business? Or is
As far as the repairs?
No, as far as like business licenses, right? Is that the process for most business? Like if like a restaurant wanted, well, I guess, you know what, the board didn't see anything on that restaurant that was going into the Dunkin' Donuts, which now there's not a sign there. How does that work, right? Because some things don't come, I don't think, through any board.
I know people are in town a lot of times will ask me that they're under the misconception that businesses have to be licensed by the town, and they don't. So if an area is zoned for a particular use and someone wants to put a business in there, unless they're selling alcohol or selling food or preparing food, they
Or
don't
selling
DBA.
cars.
Or DBA.
selling cars, used cars. They don't have to come to the boards for approval.
Right. They also just have to register for a DBA, right, Mike? If they're doing business as a DBA, they got to register it with the clerk, don't they?
Right.
But that doesn't come through the board specifically,
It doesn't come
does
through
it?
approval, but we
No.
should.
Yeah, people are under it because something will open up and they'll say, did you guys license that? Like, no, we don't have to license it. It's in an area that's zoned for that. And they can go in there.
It was similar to the business that went into 176 South Washington, right? The
Right.
cabinet place.
Right. It was zoned industrial. They were going in an existing building. So they didn't need to come for any permit. And if they're incorporated, they don't need to go to the town clerk for a business certificate.
So here, I guess, is my concern. Legally, I guess, is it fair to require another level, meaning coming to the EDC, for certain businesses and not others?
Right. And that's why I said, I don't know that that's even, that we can have that as part of the process. I mean, I would like to see anybody who engages, or wants to bring a business to Norton, like come and have a discussion with us. I think that's more on us though, to reach out.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the EDC is more of a business development and support group than it is a permitting group. So it'd be nice if someone wants to come to town, that they want to come and tell you about their business. And that's why they come to you. And if they need other permitting, then look to you, they may want to look to you for support. But if they don't need permitting, just come to you so they can showcase their business.
Right.
So it'd be almost like changing a, I'm just work with me here, changing a bylaw just to register with the EDC, or registration process with the EDC. Which is just an application that you just send over to the EDC so we could reach out and get the business to come see us and so forth. It's not a permit. It's not a license. It's purely
Just makes us aware.
makes us aware. And I would imagine that would probably be more fall into a bylaw thing, a bylaw component, if we wanted to say, ideally, you'd want to just make it voluntary, right? Just you want to make it voluntary, but how do you get the word out there, right? Mike, I understand what you're saying, but if you just don't know the way of the land, you don't know you're supposed to register or so forth. So,
Well,
So I'm hesitant to add process just for the sake of adding process. Like, what's the value add? Like, I need to understand, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the value add to coming before us versus just having them come before us because we're interested to hear about it.
And Denise, that's why I think a registration is great, because all it is a form to fill out. Maybe a one-page questionnaire, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't need to be. It doesn't mean that their business can't open. They've filled out that form. That form goes to us. They can still open their business. They can still this. But what it does is it basically lets us know of the business that came to town, and maybe us reaching out to them to say, we would like to invite you to the EDC as a new business owner in town and see what we can do to help, or so on and so forth. They may not be open yet or so forth. But all that does is it lets us know of the business in town, and gives us an opportunity to maybe reach out and help them and or promote them or so forth. It's a registration process. It's not a permitting process. It doesn't slow you down from opening. It doesn't do any of that.
I think the best option there would be to alert the town clerk that when someone does file a business certificate, if she could let you know. And then you could reach out to them with a welcome letter and invite them to come to your meeting.
Does that capture everyone, Mike? Does everybody have to go through the town clerk, or are they going through the building commissioner?
We could also work with the building commissioner on that.
It's funny though, is when I was going through the latest business listing. It's funny how most of the people on the list, as I'm kind of trying to find websites and find out where they're located in town, aren't actually operating in town. They might live here, or they may have their business based here, but they're operating somewhere else, it seems. So.
Well, I would say before we do anything, we figure out what we would want to offer, you know, whether it's help helping the navigation process, or saying, hey, here's some like social media groups that you might want to join to promote your business, or things that, you know, we put like announcements on the EDC Facebook page, something like that, like something tangible that we can offer to say, here's how we can help, right? Sorry, Denise, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, we need to be really, really clear about what the goals of that would be and what our role would be, because them to come to us for us to say, okay, you have to go see Paul, you have to go see Mike, you have to go see, the building inspector. We can do that via email. They don't need to come bring a dog and pony show in front of us for us to direct them to somebody else.
There's that animal reference again.
Well,
But Denise, I think part of it is to more promote this. I don't picture it like hey, we're going to just shove them in different directions. I see it more of a promoting the business. How can we let them ask us what they need help with?
So I guess is your vision
informational session
is a marketing branch, right? Is that what we are? Is that what we're? I'm just trying to make sure I understand what the role is, right?
Yeah, I think that's we are of a promotional. We're trying to promote and support economic growth within the town. That's how I've always imagined this group.
Well, we have one of our goals that we talked about, our objectives, was to partner with existing Norton businesses. Right? The question is like, what partnership or what value do we bring to them, which we haven't really talked about. And maybe marketing is one of them. I kind of like Paul's idea earlier when he mentioned marketing and like maybe when they do their grand opening, we have a party. I'm always up for parties.
I
Any
think you'll be
reason.
real successful if you ask that question of how can we help them? And that's part of my job too, right? That's what, but I think the more they hear from town officials, the better they're going to feel about that. And I think the more other businesses around us start hearing, well, the Economic Development Commission, the Select Board, they're really going out of their way to partner with their businesses. That helps. I mean, because let's face it, sometimes when they go through other boards, it's not always the greatest experience for some applicants. That happens, right? But we're the Economic Development Commission, and helping promote that is a positive thing. And I think they like when you go out and ask that question of what's going on, what might be able to do, right? We would not have, I certainly, the parking over behind the Trent Memorial, that was Bog Iron's idea. We just went out and, asked Brian, what do you need? And that was, he had the suggestion, those are the things, because we can, and with that, we could create multiple wins, because we may be creating more parking for other businesses. And so some other company might have another great idea that would benefit more than just that company.
Hey, Paul, speaking of that, is there a way, do you have some high level overview of the results of the discussions on the master plan that we could see, just so we can, we can get a feel for where, people voted? I just remember the one meeting where we all voted.
Yeah, they're actually SERP, and if you Google Norton Master Plan, you'll see, and I can send this to you all. Let me just make that note. I don't think, I haven't seen the last session, but the first two are definitely up.
Okay.
Did I not send that to you? I'll send it.
The only thing I remember reading is the one coming up on the 31st. It's session number 4, right?
Yeah, I might have been somebody else.
I mean, I won't tell you how many emails I have in my box. So it very well could be there.
No, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, that material is there's some material up online, so we can get that to you.
I mean, I think it would just be nice for us to, review it every so often, and certainly after a meeting, to understand what some of the themes were, just so we can take those considerations and action them, or just, have them in our back pocket to understand what's already been discussed.
So, not to take this into a different tangent, but a couple of the businesses I've met with, when I've asked them what could be something the town could do, they had a couple of them said, well, a job board. So to say our company is advertising or has a seasonal work that's needed. If we had a job board, now I admit I haven't talked to Mike about this, so that's on me. But that's an example of how we can create a lot of wins when companies are offering some pretty good ideas that, some are not big asks, they're not big lifts for us. And yet, if they want to hire local help, and whether it's seasonal or full time, if we were able to put something on the website, but make it clear that it was Norton residents and it's this Norton business, I think going in this direction that you're talking about of trying to build better relationships will really make us a lot stronger as a community.
I think so too. I remember Michael brought this up early on in the pandemic, right? To try to do a survey and gauge how people were doing and what we could do, if anything. But I think our struggle has always been, and Paul, you mentioned it earlier, not having contact details, right? Like not having a list or inventory with emails or phone numbers. But
The good news though is, you know, like with the certificate, the business licensing, that's supposed to be going on our online permitting system. So, you know, in your discussion earlier about making sure the select board gets it, well, now that if it's on Permitize, that's a lot easier to do. You know, alerts can be sent, emails can be sent out to everyone when a certificate is issued. In fact, along those lines, one of the things we're going to do when a certificate is issued, it's going to give an auto letter that I've drafted welcoming them, and if they have any questions to, you know, to reach out to me. So I'm glad I did that, because now it's exactly in line with what you guys were talking about. So all of that matters. You know, people might file that letter away, but some point they may go, wait, you know, what was that letter? I need to find that. And the guy.
Can you repeat what you just said? I lost audio, so I missed. I got you when you were laughing at the end. What was it that you said?
Oh, I just said that we're setting it up so that when the business certificate is issued, I've drafted a welcome letter that'll get auto replied back. So when it goes through Permitize, they're going to just get an email back with the certification after the application, their license is approved, but it'll also include a welcome letter for me. You know, if the EDC wants to send something out too, it's not hard to do. I mean, we could just send it to the folks at Permitize, and they can set it up so that's auto replied as well.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, as I'm gonna actually ask something that's gonna probably make the town manager cringe, and hopefully he won't come off of mute. With that being said, is there maybe, as we are in budget process, is this a time to maybe ask through Paul's department a $2,000 budget or some kind of small budget that we can maybe create some of the stuff we talked about, maybe printing some of the guides, some of the other things. Maybe there's a job board as we kind of look at the next fiscal year. We don't necessarily, and I don't want to just ask for money to ask for money, but some of the ideas that we are talking about do require some initial startup money. And
isn't that covered under the select board budget, since we operate under them?
Actually, would it be the select board budget? I thought it would be under but I'll surrender that to you. Would it be the select board budget, or would it be the planning board budget?
What are you looking to do? Just some sort of promotional flyer?
Yeah, I think, Mike, when we talk about this, I think, you know, one of the things that seems to be gaining speed with our group is that marketing side and that outreach programming. And I'm not asking for, you know, the way that I see it is there's probably going to be some more mailer, maybe a mailer or so forth. I can't even really identify it, but it would be more, if you had to itemize it, would probably be towards promotional marketing of the EDC, you know, for the EDC. It would probably be, it would fall into that budget. I mean, maybe I'm putting the cart in front of the horse here, and if the group is now.
There's the horse again.
I love, that's my theme tonight, Renee.
Well, I know we all want a dog in this fight, but why don't Paul and I talk about that and see what other communities have done, if they actually do a mailer or do something through email, or and see what the best way is to go, what they have found.
I think that makes sense.
I know. Which basically, let me translate that in Mike talk. Let me translate that. Let me kick this down the road, so maybe you'll forget, so it doesn't hit the budget.
Well, we've been sitting on the business survey and business guide for about a year and a half, so I don't think we're going to have anything to put together and try to send out anytime soon.
And we both do a printing in our line items in our budget. So,
okay,
I think that's something we can find out too from the consultant for West Main, because that's going to have it should have a promotional aspect to it. So I think this could teach us a lot of things going forward that, you know, while we're focusing on West Main, that doesn't, you know, I think this could be one expectation I'll have, is that we can apply it to other parts of the town. And so maybe something, I mean, promotions, I think, is a big thing.
Yeah.
So,
And like I said, it's what I don't want to do is get us to a point where we're really focusing and then come up with a program. And now we're trying to just scramble around and try to find scratching and saying, well, well, let's wait until the following fiscal year to kind of really ask for the budget or to try to do this program when we have the energy to do it now. So.
What about Serped? Is there any opportunity there to leverage services or, I don't know, necessarily printing costs, but Sandy, I don't know if you can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you need something more specific to what we're looking for, right?
Mhm.
I think Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're using a lot of those hours for master plan stuff continuing for this year.
yeah, a lot of that's going there, and they're helping us with a grant application. Well, that's not through, that's a different fund, that's a different funding source that they're using that for. But yeah, they're using a lot of those hours for the grant, I mean, for the master plan.
Are the hours on a fiscal year or calendar year from Serped?
I don't know. I don't recall.
I want to say fiscal year. I can't remember when I usually get that little alert saying we have hours that you can apply for.
Yeah, it's hard with Serpent because sometimes it gets confused because federal dollars go by the federal calendar, which is like October to October, and then our calendar goes from July 1 to June 30th, and then you have the yearly calendar from January to December. So
Yeah, I thought we asked this of them when we engaged them for the overlay work that they did, but I just can't remember. But that might be an option too, once we figure out what we'd want to do. Okay. Any other, I don't even know where we started on this. I think we were talking about new businesses. Any other questions or comments on new businesses? I'll give a quick update on the marijuana establishments. So we have 2 HCAs right now that Mike and I have been working through. One of them we returned back to the applicant to make some edits. And then we just got that back today. I haven't looked at it. And then the other one, Mike and I have been working on, and we have a meeting with town council this week. So we're hoping to get back to the applicant next week for next steps. In respect to the HCA, so I think I mentioned previously that we had some updates to do on the HCA that need to go back to the board, and I wanted to bring them back to this group. I hope to have that in the next couple weeks. What Amy sent this last time on the HCA specific to delivery had some really good language that we hadn't put in place, not necessarily on any sort of delivery or courier service, but just in general, that when Mike and I were reviewing it, we thought it would be good to go in the template. So we're going to try to work on that template, and then I'll bring it to this group before we go to the board for approval. But I think we can do some fairly minor changes to actually have it read a little better and be, I don't want to say like more current, but there were some significant differences just in the language of what we initially got from town council, a couple years ago on the template for the HCAs, and then what she provided now. So all good stuff, but that'll come after, we want to deal with addressing the applicants first so we can continue that process and not be a bottleneck, and then we'll do kind of our red tape work behind that. Mike, on the bylaw, oh, and I meant to ask you this too, on the TIF. The TIF is, we have an article, right? A placeholder on the annual town meeting?
we do, yes.
Okay. And then on the marijuana establishments, are we all set on the article that was, or the placeholder that was submitted and the language that was submitted? I haven't heard back from town council or Michelle on those changes.
Paul, do you know on that at all? I'm not aware Is that on the annual or would that be, is that going to be on the special? I don't remember.
Well, Renee, that's the bylaw language, right?
Well, see, so there are multiple parts to it. I don't know how she put the placeholder and how specific the placeholder has to be. If she wrote it against, what is it? Is it Article 175? I can't
Right.
remember now. If she wrote it at that high level, then we should be covered. But the changes were specific to, you had submitted a piece on the separation of the building permit. Right, with the provisional license. So that was
Right.
one change. And then we had changes
To definitions
to the definition.
in section 2.
Mhm.
And then there was definitions in the marijuana bylaw. So what was sent to me did have specific sections.
Okay. So Mike, could you confirm with Michelle if we did everything or if we're going to have to put
Okay.
something on the special town meeting warrant?
Yeah.
It might be
Those are going on this, the ones, yeah, those are going on the regular town meeting.
right. But assuming that we didn't capture all, because one of the changes was to remove or delete the bylaw on, was it the moratorium? That's in
there.
That's in the initial one?
Yes.
I mean, I know I sent it as a change. I don't know if it made the placeholder change.
From what I saw, it did.
Okay.
Removing, deleting the temporary moratorium language.
Yes.
And I think we have it back now with comments, so I can send that to you.
Okay, that'd be great. I'd like to, I know, we had to submit that based on timing, but I'd like to at least at a minimum, if I can't get in front of the EDC, get in front of Denise for another set of eyes. And I heard you say, or I saw you say, okay, Mike. Any questions in that respect? Okay. So the next item, and Sandy, I'm glad that you were able to join us. Thank you again. I'm sure it's been a long day. But the next item, I think you are probably most familiar with. But Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you just to talk about the town-owned properties. We reviewed a spreadsheet that Sandy had sent along to us from either early 2020, I think. We're having some challenges trying to understand, like, really what properties that we would have an opportunity for any sort of economic growth versus those things that were given to the town. Like, I think what we need is a broad understanding of, were there properties that were donated to the town that are up for, especially if they're in a nice area for economic development around some of our main corridors, that we would have like a land swap opportunity. And then similarly, what are those that we have, like where the old Parks and Rec building is, that we would have some opportunities too. And, would it be something that we would consider as a town to put those on the, on the real estate market? So I don't know what plans are around those. I don't know really much information at all. And Sandy, I don't know if you have readily available that sheet. I'm on a different computer, so I can't pull it up
right now.
And Sandy, can you get background? Where did you get this list from?
Oh, Jen Carlino sent it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know a lot of it is Article 97 land, which is the probably the toughest to do anything with. Mike, is that a good assessment of that?
Yeah, that would require a lot of things: approval of the Conservation Commission, replacement with similar type land, and legislative approval. So it's quite a process.
State legislative approval?
Yes.
Wait.
And we would have to have land already to kind of trade, right? Which probably isn't something that the town is in the position of having.
Right, and it has to be land, and I don't know how conservation determines it. I would imagine a civil engineer would have to do it. It has to be land that has the same characteristics. So it's just because it's Article 97 doesn't mean that it's wetland. I mean, it could be like the land on the corner of Leonard Street and East Main, it's farm. So whatever land replaces that would have to be same size or greater, more than likely greater, and it would have to have the same soil conditions.
Is that all?
No problem.
Oh, okay. Get right on that.
I think the easiest part on that is the state legislation, to be honest.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the same exact thing, Renee.
I'm like, I don't think we can get through hurdle number 1, let alone 2 or 3.
Well, I think the condo development has found that out.
So let me ask you this, Mike. Has anyone done this so you've been here 10 years. Has anyone done this project before?
Yeah, I know that Catherine Van Dyne was working on a list with Bob Kimball. And I'll get that from her. I'll see where she is on that, because she was working on identifying parcels that were taken for tax purposes, which are parcels we can sell, no
Yep.
problem. Obviously the Article 97 is the hardest. And then I'm not sure of the process and how it could be done if land was given to the town for park purposes, whether we can then use it for other purposes. That's something legal counsel would have to talk to you about a process for that, but I imagine that's difficult too. So for the most part, I think what you're talking about is land that was just purchased by the town, similar to across from Cumberland Farms, and then tax taken parcels.
Wait, what was the Cumberland Farms one, Mike?
The land across from Cumberland Farms, the town just purchased that. The selectmen purchased it.
The land across from Cumberland. Oh, you're talking about the existing Cumberland Farms.
Right.
Okay. That's
The
the one
house-
where the old Park and Rec place is?
Yep.
So you're
So
saying
why-
something, oh, sorry, go ahead, Denise.
No, my apologies. So
No,
why
please.
couldn't we still list all the properties and just list the ones that are the Title 96 or whatever it is, and asterisk with, there are some complexities, please see town manager or the conservation agent or whatever to understand better the limitations on this property, because it's not off the table, right? They just need to know that there are limitations to what they can do and how they have to go about it. And if it's that desirable piece of property, it may be worthwhile.
I didn't hear your last part.
I was gonna say, if it's that desirable of a piece of property, it may be worth their while to go that route still,
Right, and in the long run, like I say on the parcel on the corner of Leonard Street and East Main, that the condo development was looking to sell. If I was the Conservation Commission and someone was able to purchase, say, land that Daggett Crandall owns up there on Newland Street, and it was a larger piece of land than the corner of East Main and Leonard Street, I'd be glad to, I would hope that they'd go for something like that. So there's always a possibility. It could be tough, but there always is a possibility.
Well, yeah, that would be right. I mean, it's a negotiation on many levels.
Right.
But if you're thinking about it, that would be key prime land that we're trying to develop. I mean, we have to overcome the traffic and the curve there and so on and so forth. But it would be a key to development on residential land that probably won't be developed commercially, right? Because the Crandall property will never be developed commercially.
No. And they need money desperately. So
Yes, they
that's
do.
what I always would tell a condo place, get an engineer, figure it out and get up there to Daggett Crandall and see if that would work.
I think they're looking for trustees too,
Hmm.
members on their board. Mike, have you talked to the YMCA, or has the YMCA approached you about Finberg at all and the property there?
We're not getting rid of that property. I have to use it for the next 10 years for camp.
No, actually, I think they're looking to do another project out there.
Are they? Okay. I wasn't sure. I know that they've hit some financial difficulties, and the rumor has it that they might be divesting from some properties.
I have not heard that.
I haven't heard that either. And you're saying, Mike, specifically the YMCA and that entire piece of property that they have?
The Attleboro YMCA. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you their enrollment is pretty high up at this point for the camp program.
Yeah, but they need basic members, and the basic members they have to get to about 10,000. They're only at 4,000, and they're struggling.
So Mike, have we, the land that we own already, have we in the history like put that up for sale? Like have we publicized that, or were we holding on to it for some other reason that we should be aware of?
Once in a while, and I know this year she didn't do it because of COVID. Catherine's looking hopefully this spring to do a land auction for parcels that she has.
When do those become public knowledge?
They'll advertise it probably a month before they start the process.
Is it possible that Catherine, like you said, if you can speak with Catherine and kind of have her just give us an overview of the work she's done on available lands and so on and so forth, and kind of give us just an understanding of what she's working? Because it sounds like there might be a lot of duplicating efforts here.
Yeah, I'll talk to her and see where she's at with that.
Are the parcels that are taken for tax, are those, do you know, like a breakdown of residential versus commercial?
I don't. She may have that.
Okay. Should we invite her maybe to one of our, I hate to put another night meeting on her, but would it be helpful to invite her to one of our meetings?
Yeah, or let me see what information she can get that you can look at, and then if
Sure.
you want her to come, then.
And Mike, with the land auction, is that like financially advantageous for us, or is it better for certain parcels to list them separately for sale?
I say it's not that advantageous, but the state doesn't let us list property. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world, but
Like list property overall, or just list those that we've taken by tax?
list property overall. The town can only sell property through an RFQ process or auction.
How would an RFQ process work?
So say if you have say you had an old school that you wanted to sell, you'd do an RFQ, and people would have to give you a plan on what they plan on doing with the property. And you would pick the best plan, the best development you'd want there. And then you would open up the price that they're offering. So the state, I don't understand why they don't let you list properties with realtors, but they don't let you do it.
Okay.
I think you'd get better. Because you could list property have a realtor appraise it, give you a price, list it, and if you don't get it, you could just sit on it. You did, but they don't let you do that.
Mike, did they let you do it with as a private incorporation of a land trust or something like that? Or is there any ways around it like that? Or would the land trust or whatever the trust would be has to buy it?
Right, they would.
They would have to buy it. Okay. There's no, the town can't make a donation to a land trust, right?
No, the town can't donate to charities.
Okay, so then we'll plan, Mike, you think in the next week we can get some information from Kath, or within the next 2 weeks, so we can talk about our next meeting to get like a list or what her process is and steps and when she plans on doing things?
Yep, I will.
I mean, it would be great to see all the land that we own that potentially could be up for auction or sell by the RFQ process, sold by the RFQ process. And did anyone else have a picture of a little red schoolhouse that's no longer a schoolhouse when he was telling that story? That's a nice little piece, but little. Okay. Anything else on that? Did we want to look at, I know we went into some detail with some of the properties. Was there anything that anybody recalls that we wanted to bring up specifically? Okay.
I think we just had an issue with trying to figure out what some of the different codes meant, didn't we? I remember like slogging through and just not understanding what certain things meant.
I remember that being the case. Sandy, did you happen to find the file? Can we just pop it open?
Yeah, I have, I do have it. I mean, it's just, I don't know how it's easy. It's gonna be to share. It's like super long. I don't know why this is, oh, there it is. I can share it. I mean, what are you looking for? I can tell you that, again, a lot of it says Article 97.
I can't remember exactly how it was formatted. I think we filtered out the Article 97 because I think we Googled it at the time.
Yeah, I remember there being multiple tabs and we didn't know what the tabs meant.
I mean, the first one shows all the inventory. And then there's public, private.
Who has the barking dog?
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I saw Laura's light go on and I'm like, I don't know that Laura has a dog.
That's me. He's outside.
It could be any one of the 37 in the neighborhood, though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if we have a minute, let's just take a quick peek at it, and if Mike can provide some insight while we have him.
And if you could, let me know what codes you were talking about and I can check.
Everything except for Article 97.
Yeah, I mean, are you looking for?
Well, I don't remember seeing this.
So all inventory is this, right? So this is all open space, and then there's the public, private. So I don't know which one you were looking for.
I think we just put a filter on, I don't know if it was all inventory.
I think we're on all inventory and we filtered off of yes for Article 97. But they all seem to be yes as she's scrolling through.
That's like, you know, there's the what's that farm? Winslow Farms in there is a no. Yeah, there's no no's.
But why that says private owner?
Yeah, so it's open. Again, there's the public and there's the private. There's all the different categories down the bottom.
Okay. So can you could you filter out on column G to take out the yeses? Far right under sort and filter.
You're covering my thing.
Oh.
the Zoom is covering it. Yeah. So you just want no's then?
I guess we don't want, yeah. Yep. And blanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, you have fast fingers. I don't remember seeing this private owner stuff. Why do I feel like we looked at something else?
Could have been a different tab. There's multiple tabs in here.
What is sheet 17, Sandy? Just quickly to the, it's the first one on the left.
Oh, sheet 17. Nothing.
Okay. So a couple of these, I think we had questions on where it said sold for development under acquisition. Like, did that mean that we still had it, or was it? Mike, would we, like, is any land sold to us? That's not, go ahead.
I'm trying to think of Oak Street Rare. I don't know what that would be. We haven't bought anything recently. So.
I think that's the back of the golf course.
Okay.
Isn't it when we were looking at the marijuana stuff? You guys remember?
Mm. I'm not remembering.
I do not recall.
OS is open space.
Where do you see that, Laura?
In the tabs, it says public OS Pi, private OS Pi.
So when it says sold for development, does that just mean the owner sold it for development? Or does that mean we
What?
once owned it?
I don't know. That's our question to you.
Yeah, okay. Send me this list and I'll find that out.
Hey, Mike, the property, I know we talked about this. There's a property behind, like on the res, on the like northwest side of the res, behind. It would have to be from somewhere by that Parks and Rec building down to, it's behind the apartments, the
Yeah,
apartment complexes.
it's all Article 97.
So why does that show on the GIS like we've mapped it, like it's going to be a cul-de-sac?
Someone at one point was going to put a subdivision in there and they must have had it approved. And then they either donated it to the town for Article 97 or the town bought it. I don't know. But they must have had a subdivision approved previous to that.
Like, wasn't that approved and given to there for, remember we were going to drudge out? Wasn't that going to be where we're going to drudge out the res?
Well, that's why we bought that house, because that was the area they were looking to dredge out for a dock or a boat ramp.
Across from Cumberland, you mean?
Yeah, but
Alright.
that other land was a separate.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would we, or how would we buy a parcel and then turn it into Article 97?
I don't know whether we bought it or it was donated for Article 97.
Like,
I'll
go ahead.
check into it with Jennifer. I don't know whether when we got federal money for the reservoir, they got vacant land around the reservoir or what they did, but I'll see if
Okay.
anyone can.
A lot of those come from when you have like a cluster development. They have to donate. I think that was wasn't that what the Leonard Street property was? They had to donate it as part of the agreement. And I think then it went into Article 97.
That sounds somewhat familiar. Does anyone remember where the other like plans? There was somewhere else that we were looking to that day and we found what appeared to be like a development.
It's off of Maple Street Extension.
Yes. God, you guys have some great memories.
That's a bad news parcel.
Why?
Because the developer was dumping in that parcel. And we don't want to talk about what could possibly be under the ground there. So
Oh my God, is that just like a theme for this town? Like seriously?
Oh, I know where you are. That was the one, the road went to nowhere.
Well, I feel like you're going to break out in the tune.
No. I'm trying to, yeah,
It was like an 8-lot development.
yeah.
Ross, was it Ross Drive?
Yep.
Roth, is that what you said? R-O-T-H?
ROSS.
R-O-S-S. Is there one on here, Sandy, that says Roth?
Looking at the list that we went over, it was on page 19. I have no idea what would be in this, but
You have something printed?
me,
Wow.
yes, I print everything. I'm a Luddite. I have poor technology, actually, so that's
I'm like Sharon.
I'm going to look to see if I can
I know we had discussed it
The
before.
ones
What-
down here, is that what you're looking at, the Ross Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it on there?
it's right, can you see my screen?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I flipped off. I was gonna try to pull up the map, geo.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
that-
7 or 8 acres.
And
Yeah,
it's all contaminated, is that?
Is that the one you're saying, Mike?
I'd have to look at the map.
Let's see if I can pull it up here. Is it Ross Drive, guys? Or Ross DR?
Drive.
I got no results. Let's see if I can search a different way. Is there a parcel number? Let me look at our screen. 3102.
Where's the link for the GIS map? Is that not on the planning board site?
If you Google Map Geo or Google Map Geo Norton, Mass, it'll come up.
We don't have a link right in the planning board thing?
No, we do through Paul's website. I don't know where it is. I can't find this parcel ID though. Any of them.
Are you on the assessor's map, Renee?
No, I'm on the GIS map,
Yeah.
the one that we were looking at.
Right, so if you just type in Ross on the
I
search.
didn't. Yeah, I
On the
did.
drive,
Nothing
just
came up.
Type in Ross.
Let me get off the drive. Okay, I got a whole bunch of zeros. 30 underscore 30 31 dash 02 03 04. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yep.
Okay, give me a second here. I have to move something off my screen. Okay, can I share, Sandy, for a moment? Okay, can you guys see my screen? Oops, sorry, I zoomed out really far.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So here's the Maple Street that Mike had mentioned, and here were the properties that we found. And Mike, this is where they were dumping?
Yep. That's it.
So is this all Article 97?
Unfortunately, I think the town took it for taxes.
Have they done any soil testing at all, Mike, or what set off the alarms of them dumping?
I think I'll check with the health agent. I think they received a notice on that from DEP that they were monitoring that site.
Would any developer take it if there were partial contamination? In your Paul's opinion?
I guess we'd get back to it. All depends what's there.
It's not enough money. It's not a big enough development to drop $1 million to clean it up, Renee. I mean, if there are 50 lots, they might be, but what's that? That's 1, 2.
I'm trying to think of the developer's name. He did a lot in Norton years ago.
He still owns the
Back.
street. Actually, Renee, click on the street and it'll tell you who the owner is of the street.
I was gonna say, so why isn't he held accountable if he's still, you know what I mean? Like, why would we not go after him for the cleanup?
I think he,
Pokoi?
no, that wasn't, well, Pokoi Development, yeah. But I forget the guy's name. So he owned it under different corporations. So then that corporation is defunct and you can't go after him.
I think I know.
I think I know this guy.
Why would this development company own the street, but we own all the houses, or we own the parcels?
There's gotta be a way to still get at him. I mean, it can't just be that you can change your company name and
If it's the
terminate
guy,
one to get away from liability. Do you know what I mean? There's gonna be another way of doing that.
if it's the guy I'm thinking of, he committed suicide.
Oh. Well, then you can't go after him.
By the way, I don't think it's that guy. I think the guy that does this has done this in several towns, and he has
Okay.
50 corporations, Denise, and
The name of the company is.
I get it. But I would talk to town council because you can't escape liability just by terminating your organization and going under a different name.
we've got a judgment against one of these guys for a developer, for my father did, for a couple $1 million, and the guy, it's like trying to get blood from a stone.
Oh,
Well,
I'm so glad that wasn't a pet or animal analogy.
I was
Could've been a
trying to
pet
think of
rock.
one, Renee. I was trying to think of one, Renee, and they were just too gruesome.
Okay. Mike, if you have a chance just to check what any of that backstory might be, can you shoot that along to us?
Yep.
I think it would just be interesting. But I got to tell you, that's nice. That would be a nice little area. It looks like it's in a, somewhat quiet place. I mean, I didn't zoom out far enough to see where the railroad tracks were.
The development next to it is nice. They've got like a little pond and park area with a little gazebo. That golden wood, I think it is.
Oh yeah, Goldenwood Drive.
Yep.
I don't see where are houses on it. Let me share my screen again. Hold on. It looks like it just goes in a circle, but there's nothing there. This right here, Laura?
That's a nice development.
There are houses back here?
There are. It might actually be. They might be condos. It's they're tightly packed and they're close to the street. But it's a cute area.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, they're like would be again. The last time I drove through it, if they had to drop something off, townhouse style homes.
Gotcha. And I think that railroad track actually isn't too far away, right? It crosses John Scarp Boulevard. I can't tell what's a railroad track on here. Anyway, it's not important. Okay, so Mike, thank you for reaching out. I'll put a note down. We got info from Catherine, and then.
So is the intent to use this list of properties to post it on like the EDC site to list properties that are available for businesses that are interested?
Well, I guess based on what Mike said, that's not something we can do, right? Because it has to go through the auction or the RFQ process.
Well, you could say, no, you could put that up and just if someone was interested, then we'd make sure that that was one of the parcels that gets auctioned off.
Oh, okay.
So even if we were approached for a specific parcel, it
Mhm.
has to be either an auction or an RFQ. We can't just sell it direct.
Right. Yep. It's crazy.
Interesting.
I mean, it would be great to have, and I know this is reaching, right? Well, Paul, I think you have on, could we put it on that new site that you have for the real estate, or would that be a conflict, right? For the open.
Yeah, we don't maintain that, but we could also put it on the economic development page.
Okay.
So
It'd be great if we had the ability just to add it as an overlay and people can click on it.
yeah, I mean, it would just have to be entered in. So, I mean, it would be, if I wanted to enter into my MLS listing account, I mean, I'm assuming that's done through MLS. So you just have to be entered into MLS.
I mean, I think just
populate, and then it would populate with all the sites pulling from MLS.
I think just having it available to have conversations, because how many times have people come to us, and I can tell you, like we've received, and Paul, you know this because you've been on a lot of the notes and you just copied me, like several notes from people saying, well, where do you have property that's available in town? And this isn't something that we've provided to them. Right. So.
Well, I've been working on a list of privately owned vacant land in commercial and industrial areas.
Yeah, it would be helpful, like when Bog Iron came and said, I need 3 acres of dry land on sewer,
Yeah.
just to have an inventory.
So that that grant that we applied for with Foxborough and Mansfield, that's a vacant land analysis that if we get the grant, it could do what you're suggesting, Laura.
Okay.
Even if it's town owned, is it vacant no matter who, just vacant? There's no other criteria?
I think they would just be looking at vacant, but I think if they see chapter 97, I think we'd be telling them, don't include that. I mean, those are the things that we would have to coordinate on with that grant. But I've also, again, just did a simple inventory. I didn't take into any account about infrastructure serving it, how wet it is. It's just, I used the app Geo and just look for areas in the, in the industrial and commercial areas, if it were vacant, and then confirmed it with the assessor's data. And just wrote a simple list.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I just gave the address of the that's listed in the assessor's database, all public. So just trying to give people some more tools to look at when they call and ask us where's land available.
Sure. I mean, I have to imagine with the conversations that we had with different folks, right, to know specifically that property across from Cumbies, like that's a pretty good access point, and I think it would be a valuable property to a business owner if it's something that we're not using otherwise.
Well, and if whatever takes out of the town-owned land list, we could combine it with this list I've been putting together.
Yeah.
In one place, but I didn't do anything with the town land. I was like, you guys are working on it, and I know how a lot of these properties have a history.
Yeah, I think any information that we could have in that regard would be helpful. Okay, anything else on the town-owned properties? Okay, great. So I think Michael and Denise, the next item is the business survey and the business guide. Michael, why don't I turn it to you for the business survey if you want to give an update, discussion, or your opinion on that item.
Yeah, no, Renee, I spoke to you about this real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Serpent had done a survey as well, and I reached out to Sandy and Paul. We had not seen any of the results on that survey, and I just wanted to kind of get that and see if there was a possibility to look at that before we kind of recreate the wheel. I feel like I'll apologize to the group for kind of letting this go by the wayside here, but I know maybe I want to see that before we kind of go down the surveying, because I don't want to duplicate efforts. Paul, did you have any? I know that you and I spoke about it briefly. So
they haven't responded to me.
Okay. Yeah. So Renee, that's kind of where we are. I mean, part of the problem is who's they survey for? Is it for the business? Is it for the residents? Is it, I know we kind of went back and forth on what the survey should be too, right? I mean, I think we had a large.
I think it was the length.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a varying of opinions on what that survey should be and what should accomplish. So I know some people felt that the survey should be 4 questions, right? And I thought we were going to do a survey, we should have more than 4 questions.
Yeah.
Right?
Do we have any idea what questions Serpent asked and who the audience was?
I have not seen the survey. I've asked to see the survey, and I know that Paul had requested to get a copy of it, and they haven't responded.
Who is it sent to? Is it Paul or Sandy? Do we even know that?
Didn't you actually forward it along, Paul, to people?
If you look,
Yeah, that I may have, I don't remember, but actually, I think we still have the survey up.
It's on our website?
Wait, it's a news. Oh, wait, well, back in July, wow. No, it's closed.
is the surveys there, but the survey's not there, Paul?
Right. It was listed on our news on our department page, but that was from July. So it's closed. I remember taking it, but I don't remember I don't remember the content of it.
So you sent it along to us to take, right? And to share with people? Does that sound familiar, Sandy?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
We forwarded it along and as possible, put it up on the website, encouraged, I think maybe put it on Facebook somewhere.
My God, does anybody else feel like this past year was just like a blur of chaos? I mean, you say July and I'm like, oh, that wasn't that far ago. And then I'm like, well, it was almost a year.
So, yeah, it was a slow year, yet it was a fast year all in one. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
We got pot.
We did get pot. We have to keep celebrating that. I want to, we're definitely having a grand opening for pot. Make sure none of the bylaws are, you know, the laws are out of compliance, but okay. Well, if you were Sandy.
Well, I guess the question I have for the group, can I get specific instructions and I'll do what the group wants at this point. I mean, I'll surrender to whatever the group wants to do. Just I just don't know. I need more. I just need direction, I guess.
I think it makes sense to wait. Sorry, Laura. Or Denise. I don't know who that was.
No, it's me. Sorry. I'll say it makes sense to wait. I mean, there's no sense in asking the same questions if they've already been asked in the other forum, you know?
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think, Michael, your survey was geared towards the residents and what they wanted to see.
It was kind of what they wanted to see. It was kind of almost duplication of the Mansfield. It was a little duplication,
right?
Modified version of what the Mansfields EDC their residents.
I do remember that. I have absolutely no recollection of the July one. Like
Neither.
And it's weird. I remember the email and I remember a brief discussion about let's share it to get people to respond. And that's all I remember. So, which is odd. Okay, so I mean, that makes sense to wait. The other thing I think, Michael, you and I may have talked about is once we see what that survey is, right, it might actually change our focus. Like if there's something that was highlighted, we might want more information on, so then we can target whatever we go out with.
Absolutely.
I just want to say, if anybody's going to throw a question out again on Facebook, let's do it as a polling so we can look at some of the stats afterwards and let's see how many people we can make it that will keep coming back to say we need a grocery store in town. And then argue about everybody wants to come. Why isn't Norton letting them? And Laura, I want to quote you every time, and I want to send the URL to our meeting where you're like, these are the people we went out to. One of these days, I'm going to grab that time spot so I could just put it out there and say, watch this. Like, it's not the town.
It doesn't do anything.
I mean, I reached out recently to Trukey's and Joe's, like probably about a month ago. And they just still have people just are not interested in bringing a grocer to Norton. And I also, I've forgotten the blank. There's a fruit stand service that's doing home deliveries in Mansfield. They're from Fall River, and
Massive.
Thank you, Massive. I called her, I spoke to her and asked her, because I know she was looking for a more permanent place. But right now they're not looking to expand to right there. And she said she missed Roach Brothers, but they're not looking to expand.
What about a Lambert's type of place?
I don't know what Lambert's is.
I'll reach out to them. Truggies were like, we looked at it and we basically did not fit our needs.
Lambert's is, so there used to be one in Brockton. I don't know if it's still there, and there's one in Norwood on Route 1. It's a
Is
produce.
it Norwood or Dedham? Is that Dedham or Norwood? It's right on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's produce, but they've got like a deli counter. You can get sandwiches. You can get some prepared foods.
It's a specialty. It's a specialty. Yeah.
So I don't know if they've got other as soon as you said fruit stand, I was like, oh, Lambert's. It's smallish.
That's totally what I see going there. I don't see a traditional grocer going in there. I see a specialty. There are too many grocers, right? In a concentrated area, you've got Shaw's, Stop and Shop, and Big Y. It's just too many grocery stores.
Is Lambert's, Laura, typically around like commercial areas where you have people going for lunch to get prepared foods?
It's usually, so in Brockton, it's in a commercial area, but it's a standalone shop. In Norwood, Dedham, it's in a strip mall, but it is like the anchor store of a strip mall.
Do we have that draw here?
Hard to say. There's not something similar nearby.
It's kind of, if it's what I'm thinking of, the place I'm thinking of, it's kind of like a fresh fruit and veggie stand, but they have like a sandwich counter. They have some other grocery items.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Out facing, it looks like a grocery. It looks like a fruit stand.
Right.
Michael Gallagher is the owner at Lambert's Rainbow Fruit Brockton.
I think that would be different enough from the other area grocery stores to draw people in. I mean, I think that would be a good,
We could potentially draw people from other towns here.
Right.
Would it be better on more like with the potential development around exit 10? Or could it support itself on 140?
The sandwich shop aspect of it, I think, would be better around like an exit 10 where you're getting all the workers coming for lunch. But
what happened to the sandwich place in Rochbrook in that plaza? Is it still there?
Still there. The best sandwich shop ever. Yes. Go in there and have I believe it's the Rocky Marciano. Good sandwich.
I like the blackjack chicken. And you said it's the best sandwich shop because it's the business model was bought from the one in Walpole, which is called the best sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Guy just gave him the menu and all the recipes and said, here, go set up your own shop.
So just so the group knows, I just shot the Gallaghers, who are the owners of Lambert's, a message asking if they would just touch base with me regarding an expansion opportunity.
Can you also ask them, just the one on Route 1, I always considered that more of also like a garden shop too? Because they have that whole, like you said, it was on the anchor store. It is there, but then they also have that whole greenhouse section. So my biggest concern is if they, it would be great having it in Roach Brothers, but would they want to bring that aspect of their business there as well? And would we be able to provide that space?
The way they describe their business is store offers a great selection of fresh produce, fully stocked deli offering boar's head meats and a daily grocery needs. We are catering options available daily and for all occasions, as well as huge variety of seasonal flowers available. So if they reach out and they respond, I shot a message and hopefully they'll respond.
Excellent. Did Lambert's come up in any of the social media posts?
No.
Must not have.
Yes, it did when I mentioned reaching out to the people who owned Trader Joe's. That was the nicest rejection letter I ever got.
Michael, on the Twitches part, what did you think about Twitches? Because I was listening about Twitches and the internet cut me off and now I'm back on.
Yeah. Yeah, so Trucci's was not interested. They just it didn't feel like it fit their expansion needs, as they said.
Yeah, they've been closing stores, haven't they?
I
Consolidating?
haven't been following them. I just gotta, we would love to, as a member of the EDC, we would love, we're trying to look for a grocer in town. We would love to possibly invite you to a meeting of the EDC. Would you have any intentions as we're looking to maybe see if Trucci's and Norton would be a good fit? And they said at this time, it doesn't fit our expansion plans. So.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I always love bringing up the grocery store conversation.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Maybe
I've been kicked in that subject. My teeth have been kicked in on that subject more than once or twice.
Well, it seems like the dirty water conversation has died down a bit.
Oh no, okay. It was live and well this weekend.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Was there some flushing or something that happened?
Yeah. It's always something, and it's no. It was about, first of all, it was about the expansion. It was about building building new houses, and they said, "Oh, do they expect to get that much money for dirty water?" And then it just went out of control.
I would really like people to call them and report it, because we had them at the select board meeting, and they said they've had like 5 calls since that treatment facility went online. So that tells me that, and what, 2 of them just were flushing. It was something that happened right in the line, like 1 or 2. But
No,
that tells me that they've done a pretty good job of addressing the overall issue.
Well, and it's I think they've I think, to your point, Renee, they've tried to react. They say they got 5 calls. There's still problems, but I think they can't fix the problems unless people call them and address it. So I mean, I've been one of the biggest critics of the water department, and not the water department, but the water commission and so forth. But to that, they can't fix the problems. I can't be critical of them if people aren't communicating with them what the problems are.
Right. Wait, I thought magically my problems would disappear. Don't they all know?
Yeah, but my response is pretty much, here's the number to the water department. They can't fix the problem if they don't know.
Right. Well, I'll say for the record, my water has been exceptional since that thing went online. Now when I empty, I used to have to take my water filter out every 3 weeks, and it literally was like sludge. And now I pull it out, and it's like you actually see the metals that's pulling out of the water, not other nastiness. So anyway, okay. Denise, quickly on the business guide status, any updates?
I have not heard any comments back, so should I take that to mean it's all good to go?
Yes.
Did you review it, Michael?
I did. I mean, not, me with, I did a review of it. I mean, I didn't go through it with a fine tooth comb, but.
Man, when did we send that? Because I feel like I haven't seen that in a while.
It was a few months ago. It was a few months ago.
It was sent about a month and a half ago. It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I remember the comments that we gave to Anthony. There were a bunch of changes that were going to happen on contacts and information. Was that done?
So can I ask a question, Renee?
Mm-hmm.
I want to get it right, but at this point, it's a year and a half old. We're not going to print it. We're going to do it electronically. If at some point, if it's accurate to that point, when do you just go to call it a day, and we'll make it a living document?
Yeah, but I remember the last discussion with Anthony, we had a lot of feedback.
So do you have, because unfortunately Anthony did not have that feedback to forward to me. Is it in a meeting minute somewhere that I can pull it up and get it? Because I didn't note it down because I wasn't working on it.
As long as it was before August 26th, we should have it in the meeting minutes.
So I'm assuming it was sent, Renee, did you just send it to Anthony directly, or did it go to the group?
I don't remember seeing a list. I don't remember seeing an email with a list of things.
No, I remember Laura going through a bunch of things, and there were it was, comments, and he was taking it down, and it was a really good discussion on changes. But man, I don't even know. Let me do a search in my Dropbox on a keyword and see if I can find the meeting minutes for it.
It would
And
be
then
like
do you-
May or June of last year.
Laura, usually are pretty, when you send notes and feedback, you usually have a record of that. Do you think it was verbal or? do you-
No, I remember doing it. We were in the break room at town hall. We
I
did it in the
remember being
meeting.
on Zoom.
Whoa, if we were in the break room at town hall, that was a year, that was 2 years.
That was-
ago.
That was May or June of
we did it.
2019.
Wow.
We
No,
did it on Zoom, Laura.
We
What's
did.
that?
We did it on Zoom.
I was gonna say,
Well-
we've had something more recently than that.
Yeah, we did. We
Sure.
talked about it on Zoom and had the whole, because he had already fixed it since that. Because I missed the break room meeting, but when you came back with it, we went through it in a Zoom meeting. So I'm sure that's recorded if we wanted to go back and
Yeah.
I can try to look for that.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I do remember it now.
That's right. That's
Like
right.
I said, I'll search on the keyword because it should pull up within a Word document, and I can at least narrow down the meeting, and then we can go from there. There were several that he wasn't at, so it shouldn't be too hard to find that meeting. I know he was on, right, he went on military and then had some conflicts with school too. So, okay, so Denise, I'll look for that. Let's try to get ourselves back up to speed, and then maybe we have a discussion in a couple weeks or 2 meetings from now on this. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'll try to see if I can find the old, whatever meeting it was from and look at the video as well.
Okay.
I reviewed and made some updates on it. I can send that out. The other thing, one of the new tools we added to the economic development webpage kind of parallels with this. I don't know, Renee, if I could, where did you go? Okay, there you
Yeah.
are.
Sorry.
I mean, if we had a couple minutes, I could quickly show you what we've done with the tool that shows the public, where they can go if they have permitting questions.
Yeah, would you guys, I know it's 9:08, would you guys be okay with a couple minutes to see that? And then that way we'll have a better idea if there's overlap or if it is in parallel.
Sure, just super quick before you go to that, on the brochure, I think I found which meeting it was. Was the discussion, because the summary in the meeting minutes talks about discussion around adding information about Wheaton College and the marketing material, Condine's marketing material, and adding information from that. Was that the last meeting that we had on that? That's the most current? I'll watch the video to get the more in-depth feedback from it, but do you think that's the only one that we had? I don't think you've had a lot of discussions on it.
I remember that discussion, Denise. That was after remember we wrote those letters of support? Like Mike had one and then the EDC wrote one too.
Yeah.
To bring somebody into town. And then I think it was after that, but I think there was a meeting beforehand where it may have been more specific, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd have to look at the minutes
I'll
of the
watch
meeting.
this. Yeah, I'll watch this meeting first to see
Okay.
if it has the information that we need. Okay.
Okay. Paul, you should be able to share.
Okay.
Hey, Paul, before you do that too, Mike, if you're still on, feel free to drop. I think if there's any follow-up, Paul can follow up.
Good night.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
So this is right on our economic development page, and this is one of the tools. And we click on the connect button. This pops up a number of different agencies or organizations that help businesses. One of which, so if you look across the top, you'll see business assistant, right? These are organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, the Mass Office of Business Development that specifically helps businesses. But I'll scroll over to the far right, regulations, licenses, and permits. This is all us. So you could see here that, like, if you're looking for building permits or zoning determinations, it's the building commissioner, and you can click right on the website. The town clerk has the business certificates, fire department.
Pot's on there.
What's that?
Pot, you guys have marijuana on there?
Yeah,
Yay.
the select board, pot and alcohol. Guys are the fun bunch.
all devices.
But this is, you know, again, this is I think a good tool that if people have any questions, you know, they should be able to pretty much get anything that they're looking for here and know where to go to reach out. But this is something that we, you know, it's up to date. I've coordinated with other departments to make sure that this was right. So we, you know, I thought that the guidebook was in really good shape. I just had some updates on it, but this could help update it, or I can just submit my comments. But I wanted you to know that this was here, that all these different, you know, it might not be everything. And unfortunately, we're kind of limited as to the descriptions we could put under there. Some definitely do more than we're listing. We were just trying to hit the big ones because there is a space limit or character limit. But anyway,
can you put contact names in here? Like, wouldn't we want to put Mike Units under town manager?
can we put contact? You know what? I don't think we can't put contact names on there, but you go to the website. So it takes you right there. So.
Oh, is it our website?
Yeah.
It looks so good.
We're doing the best we can.
I know.
But where we could, like with business certificates, under the town clerk, I just put it right to their webpage, but that'll change. We'll know to change it once they, once this goes on to online permitting. So anyway, I just wanted to show that to you all. And if you have people who ask you questions about permitting, send them to this, and this will get them where they need to go.
Can you show me how you got to that again? Go back to your town page, and where was it on the left-hand side?
So the simple thing is just say Google Norton Economic Development.
Yeah.
Because navigating our website is really tough. So the best thing I would just do is just Google Norton Economic Development. This should show up, but it's actually hosted under the planning department's website. So anyway.
And then where was the link under here? It was
this one.
Oh, under here. Okay.
You just scroll down.
Yeah, just scroll down to where you see connect.
Okay.
What's under how to?
Oh, how to. So this was a package deal that this company had given us, but this is, as you can see, largely like how to is largely for people looking to start up a business, or it could be at certain levels, certain stages of it. I think of this as, a business startup. So it might be starting your business, or, some simple tips about, needing to write a plan, for example. Again, we had nothing to do with this, but these are just good tools. It's just giving people direction as to, and resources to go to about writing plans, doing a market analysis, so that's what the how-to is, but feel free to poke around with it.
So I don't want to poo-poo the brochure, but this seems to be doing the same thing, no?
Kinda, yeah.
It does. The only difference is, and what I was going to ask is, do we want like a hard copy, right? Like,
yeah.
Can the brochure still be used? Maybe we shorten it quite a bit. I do like in the brochure having the names. Like, I just feel it's a personal touch versus calling the town manager number and not knowing who to ask for other than, hey, the town manager.
Well, except that you got to reprint it when somebody leaves. I mean, look at Chris.
I know,
Carmichael.
but yeah,
it's already.
How often does that happen though?
Who knows, Renee? Depends on which job.
So, Paul, is there something you need to tell us?
I'm happy.
Yeah, the question is, are you happy with us? That's the
love you guys.
Quick, someone check his Google searches.
Yeah,
exactly.
Did
Hold on a
note
minute. I'll check his
he had-
LinkedIn profile, see if the title's still there.
I noticed he did have LinkedIn up on his bookmark bar. He's networking. I know it.
Media is LinkedIn.
Everybody should have LinkedIn. You know how handy it comes in when you get a question. You're like, ooh, I don't know that, but I know somebody who might.
Do you know how much business I used to get off of LinkedIn? I communicate. That's my major. Facebook and LinkedIn are my two go-tos.
Oh, I don't like Facebook.
But I think the guidebook is still a good idea. I think you have, there's applicable, it's a tool that can be used.
Is there
Not
anything,
everything's digital, you know?
is there anything on your website that shows like a process flow, right? Like you stop
No.
here first, then you go here. Maybe
Nope.
I know we talked about that. So maybe that's something that,
I would rather they call us and us explain that than I've seen so many process charts and they're, I don't know. I mean, we could.
Well, there's exceptions to every rule, right? It's impossible to kind of make.
Yeah, it's, we're in a people business. And I think if we just call them, we can step them through. Like I spoke to that one woman today regarding her marijuana that we have, I guess you haven't seen yet, but I think the more we can help explain it, I don't know, process, that's a lot of work to put in, and I don't know.
I'm thinking high level general, right? Not.
Well, yeah, you could.
Well, I'm laughing because you just basically made Renee cringe. She's a process person.
I'm a process person too.
She loves the processes.
Well, it kind of goes back to like every conversation we've had with people about, potential timing for planning board, right? It's always a shock. People are like, oh, we'll get through it in a month. And we're like, you're not going to get through it in a month. And especially like around town meeting time, right? Like that's even longer. So just like when I think of like the overall workflow, like just kind of indicating here are some places you have to go. Here are some, timeframes that you should consider. So people have a realistic idea of coming here versus coming here thinking, oh, I'm going to have, set up my shop in 2 months. And all of a sudden, conservation, it has to go through conservation, planning board, and all these other things, right? Like it's just how do we bridge that gap of total shock and dismay and I don't want to do business in Norton versus can we set some expectations early on?
Well, one of the things Mike has always asked us to do, has always said to do was when we get a proposal in from any developer, to meet with them, meet with the department heads. And part of that job is to set that expectation that, and the good thing about that too is you get to answer their questions. That's the good thing about interaction is you're not just putting a lot of information out to a person, which might not be applicable to someone. It might be applicable to another, but not the person who's inquiring. And that's what we will do is we'll just, they'll ask about, how long with the planning board. And, we try to set a reasonable expectation that, depending on the complexity of it, we try to ballpark how long it will take, but we do step them through it. And I think, I don't know, it's my opinion. I think people would rather just be, in direct communication and just meeting with people and building a rapport with someone.
Mm-hmm.
That just as an example, I'd sent off, I had an email for an accounting question I had on a personal thing. I had a very specific question. All I got back was this, it felt like an automated response saying, here's our FAQ page. I'm like, I went to your FAQ page. It didn't answer my question, so I picked up the phone and called them.
Mm-hmm.
And I got what I needed.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I do like process because I like to be able to see the whole thing in front of me, but I also think it would be good for us to use what we outline as process as a way to kind of improve ourselves, to understand where we have repetitive steps or unnecessary steps or where the bottlenecks are, like to try to make process improvements. Because I bet you if we mapped out, 10 different businesses that have come through this town, they look very vastly different, and there's probably lots of places we can make some process improvements along the way. So just understanding where our issues are too, I think would be helpful to try to understand where we could make some improvements internally to make it easier for businesses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's great ideas. And honestly, I can see Paul sitting there with the brochure in hand, turning it to somebody and saying, based on what you're telling me for your business, this is where you'd want to start in our process on the workflow. Then he can flip it over and say, here are the people that you're going to be meeting with so that they have names and numbers in front of them. See, Paul puts a little bit of both there.
Yeah. I try to give it a personal touch. But again, I think that having the guidebook is good, but a guidebook needs to be short.
Yeah.
We make, not just us, but places will, short, less is more, especially nowadays. And I think, we're seeing even outside of government that people still want to be in touch with people. It's funny how now a lot of the big companies that used to put call centers offshore now are marketing that, you get an American-based call center, because I think they realize now people just want to, have a quick phone call that you could answer instead of going through, I'll pick on Google. I had experience with them, and you never get a human being. And, it spent days fixing a problem that should have taken 5 minutes by phone. And again, I think we were talking earlier about how to bring businesses to the, to meet with the board, with the commission. I think we should be keeping, open channels with people to make sure that they're being heard and that their questions are being answered.
I agree. Very well put. Okay, so we'll come back. And Paul, does your feedback go to everybody or just Anthony at the time?
I haven't sent it to anybody.
Okay.
I just got it when Denise sent it out a few months ago.
Okay. If you want to send that back to Denise or the group, feel free. And then she can take a look and incorporate it and think about, what's already on the website and how it can be a supplement versus a duplicative effort. Okay, I know it's 9:23, but nobody's leaving until we go back to item number 1, which is reorganization. So we have 3 positions: the chair, the vice chair, and the clerk that has been vacant for quite some time. So I think it's time we have the entire all the members present. So if you guys would like to go through this process for reorging in the next 6 minutes, I think we can get it done faster than that.
Let's do it.
Okay. Bottom up or top down? Any preference? I know if we go bottom up, then I do it through the end. If we go top down and we change chair, then it switches. So somebody else would take over.
Then bottom up.
Okay, we stumbled through this last time. That's why I asked, because I remember when we did it. Okay, so for the position of clerk, from a responsibility perspective, for those who are new, it's coordination. Actually, Sandy, were you the clerk for the Charter Commission?
Yes, I was.
You wanna talk about just the general responsibility overview?
Not where she is.
Real world experience.
Yeah,
And she owes us minutes.
Yeah, I know I do. So I'm not a good clerk. I owe minutes for the other meetings. Yeah, just taking minutes and getting them filed with the town clerk. What else? I think that's about it, right, Laura?
Agendas.
Did you do it?
You post the agendas.
I post the agendas, yeah, that Laura sends me.
That was kind of how Anthony was. I would send it to him and he would just take care of the rest to make sure it got posted. But it's easy. Oh, by the way, I changed the meeting invite to be recurring, so I don't have to keep updating the agenda. So as long as we don't get, it's not spoofed.
Is that why I got a redirect?
A redirect?
Yeah, when I hit it, it said, essentially it just said, it's redirecting you to the current link. So I said yes, and it brought me here. So I am assuming that's correct.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me know if it happens next time.
Okay.
But it should be the same link, same password, same meeting invite. So until we have a problem with it, I'll keep it like that, just because it's less time consuming the way that the town email system works. Okay, sorry, I deterred us and we're down to 4 minutes. So any nominations, interest for clerk? And please don't all respond at once. And anybody who's interested or anybody who gives a nomination, you will not be on the hook for past meeting minutes. Let me just clarify that.
Will or will not?
You will not be on the hook for past meeting minutes.
I will give up my seat and take clerk.
You're interested in clerk, Denise?
Whatever. I mean, we needed someone to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to like co-clerks either. So if anybody wants to share the responsibility.
Why don't we just consider rotating?
Rotating
In
the
lieu of a
clerk
clerk.
position?
Yeah. Literally just go alphabetically. And then everybody's got it once every, what, 3 months?
Are you talking about for taking minutes? I think we need an official clerk for,
Oh, in name?
yeah.
So we can do official clerk and name and then rotate the minutes and the clerk would just be responsible for saying who's up next.
Just
In coordination, right? Like that would still be the one person to always send it to the agenda minutes email and make sure it's posted. That would lighten the responsibilities. Denise, you like clerk position better now?
So what is it again? Say it again. So send it to Lucia to post what you're saying as well?
Yeah. So it would still be doing like you have to send it to Lucia and Brooke to get the agenda posted in the meeting minutes. Once approved, posted. So you would still coordinate that, but somebody else, we would go through a rotation of completing the meeting minutes. So it would just be coordinating that and telling people who's up, which if we do it alphabetically, it's pretty easy because we can even put a little placeholder for who's responsible if we wanted to.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Okay, I need a motion from somebody other than Denise.
So
Seconded.
All right, that was Sandy with the motion. Okay, hold on. I should have wrote our names beforehand. Give me 1 second.
And Renee, I will do the past ones too. I thought that I had been working on the ones from January, but I didn't realize it was back to the August ones. So we don't have any of those from Anthony either, right?
No, but I have, I at least have the first 5. I'll have to look at my files. You know, Denise, I'll give you access to my Dropbox and then you'll see the ones where I put like the template together. So I've recorded already, like who was present, when we started, when we ended, as well as all the votes. I just haven't put the context in between that yet.
Okay. Oh God, technology. I'll try.
Well, it'll be easy. I'll send you a direct link and it literally will open up like a normal file. Explorer.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I stopped. Let me, I got Laura, Sharon, Tool, Mike, Sandy, Denise, myself. Okay, so a motion and a second to support Denise's clerk. We'll do roll call votes. Laura?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Mike?
Yes.
Sandy?
yes.
Denise?
I can vote for myself. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course you should.
Why not? Yeah. And I too vote yes. So thank you, Denise. We have a new clerk.
Yay.
Yay.
That's fantastic. Okay, so that now creates a vacancy in vice chair. Any nominations or interest in vice chair? So responsibilities are really limited to coordination of the meeting and facilitation in the absence of the chair. And then in Denise's case, she's helped with meeting minutes along the way.
Which is now a group effort.
Right. This is an easy one. Anyone?
It's easy depending on who the chair is.
Okay, so you want to vote for chair?
So Mike is VP.
You spoke.
I will not support that. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. We only need 6, we only need 4 people to support it, Mike. Do you want to jump the chair? We can't have a vacant position. Okay, let's jump the chair. Interest or nominations for chair?
Renee Delay.
That's not my last name.
Tally then. By the way, I was wondering if you're going to call me out on it. So as soon as
I was, yeah.
I'm really looking right at your name, and I know that's not how you pronounce it.
No, you're usually good at that, Michael.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's okay. So we have a motion in a second. Laura, that was you on the second?
Yep.
Okay, for the continuation of me and chair. Any discussion? Let's go to roll call. Laura,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Michael,
Aye.
Mike,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Thank you guys for the honor and privilege and everything else that goes along with that.
Lollerhead for vice chair, would she be open to taking that?
Did you say me?
I was looking at your face and it was like motionless. I'm like,
Last
is she
time I checked,
frozen?
Scott wasn't on the board, but sure.
Well, my issue is I keep getting conflicts with Serped because my Serped meetings are Wednesdays.
We could switch the night.
Sandy and I talked about that too. Laura said we can switch the night, Sandy. So you want to talk about that? Because you had some suggestions.
It's the 4th Wednesday typically of every month is Serped. So it depends on how we fall in the rotation, but it overlaps, you know.
You usually make it one way or the other.
I mean, I'm with Laura, and I said this to you, Sandy. I don't mind switching it, and we can see the recurrence. It'd be up to the group if Tuesdays would work okay. The only conflict that I would see currently is going to Thursdays because our select board meetings seem to be every week, right? And we'll be in that position at least until a few weeks before town meeting.
And to be honest with you, I personally, I mean, I kind of thrive if I do have a Thursday off. I'm kind of, because we usually we've been doing week to week to week to week to week.
Yeah. But I don't know if Tuesday would work for everyone. I don't know of any standing meetings right now on Tuesdays. I don't know, Paul, is a planning board on Tuesday?
Yep.
Yeah, every 2 months, 2 Tuesdays a month.
Do you know the 2 Tuesdays that it is?
It varies. So it's not a standing.
What about Monday?
Well, FinCom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, I don't think it's not going to be every month. So I can take a look and we can schedule as needed, right? We can even, I mean, I hate to do this, but we can even bump it a week because we're meeting every other week. So if we wanted to push it the week after, there's the potential to do that. I'm not opposed to Mondays. I do have some Monday conflicts. I know at least the first Monday of every month, so it shouldn't fall with the 4th, but there may be some other meetings just from the cultural proficiency group that I represent the board on. That would be my only conflict, but I'm willing to look at the calendar, and work with Sandy on where those conflicts are, and then going out to the group if that would be helpful, Sandy, if you'd accept this position with that contingency.
Yes, I suppose if nobody else wants it, I will take it.
Yeah, I can tell you this, I would be late on Mondays and Tuesdays, probably Monday at 7 o'clock is I just wrapping up children's stuff. But don't dictate it.
Late on Monday, Tuesday, and you can't do Thursday. So you want to do Friday?
Yeah, I would.
Saturday.
Saturday mornings, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no one ever does any meetings are they not allowed on the weekend? So they just try to stay from them out of
I
respect
think
for
they-
people's time.
I think Paul, who does 2 meetings a week. I'm not sure if we could get him on a Saturday too.
Right.
No, and on Saturday mornings, I'm in a place with no Wi-Fi.
Good for you, my friend.
I don't blame you.
Joking.
You know, do what it is. I'll make it work. So,
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, again, I don't think it's not going to be every month that we'll have a problem, right? Has it been every one, Sandy?
I don't know. I think we're in a cycle right now where it just keeps hitting.
We're on the off week
Yeah.
because we went back to the previous schedule, right?
Yeah. I mean, like when there's a 5th week in the month and our 5th Wednesday, right? Then it throws it back in.
I think
So
we were trying to hit them so that it wasn't EDC select board.
yeah, right. Because we were trying to give time for us to review things and then prepare it for the select board, so we didn't kind of delay the process when we met the same weeks. And I can tell you it's draining for us, and you guys know this when you were doing multiple meetings, right? Having meetings back to back, especially, I mean, we haven't been going too late here, but 9:30 is late, but the last couple meetings that we've had, it's been 10:30 or 11:30 that we've gotten off from the board, and it's exhausting. And Laura's already yawning because I know we're way past your bedtime.
I've been yawning since 8, so that's really.
I know.
Madam Chair, before we adjourn, can I just say something? Much more about
We get a vote on vice chair first.
Yeah, can we vote on, because you nominated Sandy and we just need Sandy to
that happened so long ago. I thought it was done.
I mean, Sandy, the bottom line is we'll work with your schedule, right?
That's fine.
Okay, so do you accept?
Sure.
Okay, so Michael, you want to make an official motion?
Usually it's a yes. I'd be excited to accept. Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry if you asked me what my vote is.
No, I asked you, do you want to make an official motion?
I would like to
Nominate.
Thank you. Nominate Sandy Ollerhead as vice chair of the EDC.
I will second that nomination.
Excellent. So we have a motion and a second. I'm going to assume there's no further discussion, but I'll look around and we'll go to roll call. Laura?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Michael?
Aye.
Mike?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
And I too vote yes. So fantastic. Congratulations to Sandy and Denise. And we have a power team. Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And Michael, you wanted to say something at 9:39?
Yes, it's just wanted to let Paul Giuseppe know, as well as everyone else. Obviously, we know that no one pulled papers for the planning board. And I've spoken to Alan, oh my God, I'm blank his name. Paul, help me out here. Boulay. Yeah. And he has decided I'm going to do a writing campaign for him. He's a member of the ZBA. And I just wanted to let this board know, because obviously, while we don't have a lot of overlay with the planning board, we are kind of close to them. So he's got children in the schools, and his wife Danielle is pretty involved. So just to let you know, because I think it's a good opportunity to kind of fill one of those seats that are right now vacant. No one's
Can
planning.
you spell his name for me?
Sure. Bouley. He is not on social media.
And 1 L or 2 and an E or an A?
I will be doing it. Bouley.
On Alan.
Alan.
And 1 L.
1 L or as the,
One.
all right. 1 L.
ALAN?
Yes.
Because it has to be correct.
Yeah, I'm going to put social media out there, and I will met the whole board, because I have to actually get his address too.
Okay.
You're
You're not going to be able to tag him though, it sounds like, huh?
I'm not going to be able to tag him, but I'm going to. He just needs as many votes as it would take to get on the ballot. So
my understanding is he just needs the majority. He needs to have the most votes. There's no minimum. Because I think we had somebody with 12 votes before that was there. You might
Yeah,
want
I
to
did-
clarify that, but I remember asking previously, so it's just whoever has the most amount of votes.
Yeah, I think I've asked that question too, and it's yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
I can search,
Yeah.
but I think I actually searched it as well.
Yeah, there is some
my understanding
confusion
there
as
was-
to whether it is a regular election or a special election, I believe.
So, yeah, I think it's Paul, you know him, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any good positive, I mean, your experience with Alan?
I mean, I don't, I want to be careful because we're in a public hearing. I don't want to be advocating.
No.
So
But your experience
You can
on
defer.
ZBA, well, ZBA, I know that your experience, you worked with him with the ZBA and he was in that process.
And he was also, he played a really key part when we created the subcommittee that looked at our Village Center Core. Alan was the representative of ZBA for that subcommittee.
Oh, that's great. That's good enough. So that is it. And thank you for letting me just kind of an announcement.
Sure. So I'll piggyback on that announcement that if anybody else is interested, right, certainly the same process can be followed, or what would happen afterwards with an open seat is I believe the chair and vice chair of, I think it's chair and vice chair of the planning board meet jointly with the select board and go through a review process for an appointment. Paul, is that correct? It's
Yeah,
just the two?
I think it may be the larger board.
Oh, is it the larger? Okay.
Yeah, so I've talked to Mike and we would be looking at your meeting right after the April 10th. So I think that's April 15th, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if that gives us enough time to go out to say, hey, we have a position open and allow people time to apply.
And one thing I should mention, and Joe Fernandez, who's one of the seats leaving, did say at one of the planning board meetings that he'd be willing to serve another year. He just couldn't commit to longer than that. So what's important, anyway, so he might be, he has said he is interested. I've emailed him to let him know he should reach out to Mike to let him know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
I was going to say something, Paul. I think this group, it would be helpful to know, without those two seats being filled, how does that impact things going before the planning board or timing? Like, especially when we think of our partners on the marijuana side. How does that impact people? Like, will things be pushed? Can it be heard with two less members?
It can, but you run the risk of needing all 5 votes. So we will have, at least as far as with the zoning bylaw changes going to town meeting, we'll be okay there because the first meeting will be March 23rd, and then they just moved their meeting. We've moved the meeting, their second meeting, to April 6th. So that way it's before the election. So that'll be covered. It could become an issue for one application that's been here for a while and it's had some challenges, because come April 10th, if that project has not been approved, then there are only a few options. They might, because the new members cannot vote on an existing project. So the applicant could just withdraw their application and refile it. So that way all 7 could. They could just roll the dice and say, we want you to vote before, April 10th, or just roll the dice again and go, we'll run the risk of just only having 5 members who can vote. But on a special permit, you need all 5 members to vote on it. So the election's a big deal. Fortunately, they cleaned the plate a little bit last night with 2 projects that got approved. So, so there's just this one hanging out there right now.
Okay. I appreciate that context, because it does,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've been asked, and I'm sure others will too, who have, things that are coming up in front of the planning board.
Yeah, at this point, I would, if anyone comes in to us that is anything but well, if it's site plan or special permit related, I mean, we're at that point now. I think we would tell them, hold on, wait until, I don't want to have one item going in the meeting before the election, knowing that 2 are going to be gone. So there's no pickup for that. So we have to be careful if anything should come in.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, from the perspective of marijuana establishments, since we have to switch that bylaw, nobody right now can apply for a site plan approval or a special permit until after the May meeting.
Right, and
So that won't
that's
affect
such a long-
marijuana specifically.
Right, and it's a longer process. So even though, Solar Norton is, first out of the gates, that, they're not getting their application in before April 10th.
Well, he said though,
Right.
they expect to be ready the end of March, because he's
Yeah.
the one that asked, and I told him, I said you and I talked about it, but I told him to give you a call to understand if they really thought that they were going to meet that date, because if it meant just delaying 10 days or 15 days, then they might want to do that.
Well, if he came in, I mean, there's also, it doesn't mean the application has to come in after April 10th. It just means that it can't come in early enough that we're statutorily required to host the meeting. So typically you have 45 or 60 days, I can't remember, that we have to have the first public hearing, but we always try to get in, within 21 days.
Mhm.
So, but,
Okay.
we have to just, again, with that, if it's coming in at that point, that's not going to be, if it comes in end of March or early April, that's not going to be an issue then, because they couldn't be heard before the 10th anyway.
Okay,
Motion
great. And
to adjourn.
what was that, Michael?
Is there a chance we can motion to adjourn? You're losing me.
Yeah, I was just writing down. Any questions, just quickly for Paul? I assume no, but I don't want to cut anyone off. Okay, Michael, you have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
I got Sharon on that one. Roll call vote. Laura,
yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
Michael?
Cool.
Michael, you asking?
Michael, not Mike,
Oh,
Michael?
oh.
Yes, I didn't hear you. Mike?
Yes.
Sandy? I said Sandy already. Sorry, I wrote you twice. Denise?
Yes.
And I also too say yes. So we are adjourned at 9:49 p.m. Thank you everyone for the discussion tonight and getting through many of the agenda items. Appreciate it. Have a good night.